What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Gimme presented by Bet365. Why do we call it the Gimme? Because it's good. That's why. You guys knew that already. You also knew that this week on the PGA Tour, after a 1-week hiatus, we're coming back, and we're coming back to Cabo. That's right. We're going to the Worldwide Technology Championship and a new golf course, El Cardinal at Diamante, designed by none other than Tiger Woods, the first ever Tiger Woods course design to be used in a PGA Tour tournament. We'll talk all about that over the next little bit. Plus, we'll get into our favorite outrights, props, matchups, first round leader plays. I'm Jason Sobel from the Action Network. He is Derek Farnsworth from Roto Grinders. We'll get into all that in just a second. But first, I got to tell you all about the fact that we're presented here on the Gimme by Bet365. Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boosts with them than anyone else every day. They power up on hundreds of odds to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays, and they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for the biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boosts and see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 or older only, or 18 plus in Kentucky and present in Colorado, Iowa, Kentucky, New Jersey, Ohio, and Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Colorado, Kentucky, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. Let's take a look at the top of the board at Bet365 this week. And, well, that didn't take long for Ludvig Aberg, Mr. Studvig himself, to be at the top of a PGA Tour odds board. Derek, before we get down to the rest of the board, granted, it's a little bit of an inferior field. We understand it's the fall. The big guns are taking a little break. They might actually be in Cabo, but not playing golf this week. That said, you think Aberg is a worthy favorite for this event this week?
Yeah, deserved favorite. He's been in awesome form. Last 5 events, 4th, 1st, 10th, 2nd, 13th. Obviously played well at the Ryder Cup too. So scares me not having him on the card, but I don't love the number.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. We will get some guys just below him, though. That includes Cameron Young at 12-1, Sahith Theegala, who won earlier in the fall at the Fortinet Championship. He's at 14. Bo Hostler at 25-1, Stephen Yeager at 28, and Lucas Glover at 30. As always, here on the Gimme, you've been given $100 by the bosses to spend in our portfolio. We're going to start with some outrights. Noto, where you start with your first one?
All right, I'm going to go with the guy that I love to bet on. So keep that in mind. He is yet to win for me, but I think the win's coming. That's going to be Stephen Yeager, plus 2,800, putting $20 on that. I was looking at his numbers. One of the best in the field on par 72 courses, one of the best in the field on paspalum courses. Now, we don't have any strokes gain data for a lot of the paspalum courses, but yeah, he's got good experience on some of these coastal courses, and one of the few guys in the field. He's top 10 in ball striking, top 10 in birdie or better percentage, and top 10 in greens and regulations. So I like the number. I like his form. He hasn't missed a cut since April, I believe, which is pretty impressive. So hopefully he can finally put 4 rounds together and get the job done.
You know, it's interesting because some guys get out on tour, maybe get a win pretty early, show off that ceiling, but don't have the consistency to go with it. Yeager's almost the opposite. He's shown that he's got a consistently very high floor. We're waiting for that spike week, and maybe it happens this week. I thought it was going to happen a few weeks ago at Sanderson Farms. I'm right there with you. Play Yeager a lot, and I'm waiting for that big week. All right, I went back and forth for about 48 hours, Derek, on whether I should go here. It was going to be one of those weeks when I just went deeper down the card, and I went more quantity than going with any of the favorites. And then I said, you know what? I couldn't do it. I don't like the number, but I can't leave Cameron Young off the card this week. I just feel like this could be his week, just very much like Sahith Theegala won at the Fortinet Championship earlier this fall, a much-awaited first PGA Tour title. No one would be surprised if Cameron Young came back off a 10-week absence to win. Again, I don't love the number, but I think there's a chance that you folks out there could be watching this video on social after our team posted on Sunday night and Cameron Young wins. They're like, hey, look, Sobel had a winner. He said Cameron Young. And you're like, yeah, but the number was really short. I'm with you. I get it. If you're watching this in the future, hey, maybe I got one right, but I get it's a short number. I'm going to shorten up the card this week, though. Instead of going with a bunch of mid-tier and lower tier plays. I'm going to go with Cameron Young, and then I'm going to shorten it up with just one or two other plays. I'll give you my second in just a minute here, but no, who's your second play?
Listen, 12-1 in any other sport is an amazing hit. You can hit a 5-team parlay, hit 12-1, and you're thought of as a genius. If you hit it in golf, you're like, he just took the favorite. Nothing special about that. So it's kind of funny how we think about numbers in betting. For my second pick, I'm going to go with Beau Hossler. For the longest time, he's just relied on short game. He's always been a very good putter. And recently, he's figured something out with the ball striking. He's gained at least 2.6 strokes ball striking in 3 of his last 4. We don't have data from the Zozo where he finished second, but I have to assume that he was striping the ball there as well. And he's just playing some great golf. I think plus 2,800 is more than fair given his form and given the fact that he's been in contention a bunch. So hopefully when those nerves get going on Sunday, he'll be used to them a little bit more. Maybe he can get the job done.
Playing the best golf of his career right now. I don't think anyone would be surprised if Beau Hossler comes through for the victory. I will say, if you like Noto's pick, if you want to jump on it, my advice is jump on it as soon as you see this, because I think that number is only getting shorter as we get towards the first round on Thursday morning, because he seems like a very popular play this week. I wouldn't be surprised if something more like 20, 22 to 1 by the time they tee off. So I don't think it's getting any longer. I wouldn't wait to play Hossler now. I'm going to go with my second play. A guy a little bit further down the board, but a guy playing some really good golf. The stats are popping. You and I were talking about it before the show started. 6 top 35 finishes in his last 7 starts. Potentially a left-in flagstick from making a playoff at the American Express earlier this year. But Davis Thompson is playing some really nice golf. 40 to 1, 45 to 1, depending where you're finding him. I think is a really nice number for a 24-year-old who, like I said, really good ball striker, hits it a long way. We're going to get into this course in just a second and tell you about how it's playing maybe not quite as long as the number on the card, but that number is pretty long. So I'm looking at some of the longer hitters out there this week. Davis Thompson certainly checks a whole lot of boxes for me. So let's get into the golf course itself. Like I mentioned, El Cardinal at Diamante. They're in Cabo this week. Spoke with a few players already on my radio show, and they're like, man, yeah, twist my arm. I got to go to Cabo in late October, early November. Okay, sounds terrible. So 7,452 yards, par 72, past Palom Greens out there. Taylor Montgomery, spoke with him on the radio show today. Said there's no rough whatsoever, big fairways, but the wind's going to blow. They kind of need that to protect the golf course, or else if the wind starts blowing, you have some narrow fairways. Guys are going to shoot big numbers out there. But he said if the wind doesn't blow a ton, don't be surprised to see some low scores out there. Usually when we get a golf course, there's a little tip for you guys, especially maybe some scoring, some winning score prop plays out there. But usually when the PGA Tour goes to a golf course for the very first time, they err on the side of caution. They don't want to scare guys off and not have them come back again. Look for lower scores rather than higher scores just for this first year. So again, that's not necessarily the rule that it happens every time, but there are very few outliers to it. So in any case, let's get to our player finishing position market bets. We're going to buy one. We're going to sell one. Who are you buying first?
All right, I'm going to go with Thomas Dietrich. Now, this is a pick that is a little off the board. Don't bet on him a lot, but he's been very consistent, especially with his starts overseas, and he's playing a lot more on this side of the pond lately. He's been a top 35 machine. And I just like the way he sets up for these past Palom courses. He tends to play a lot of them for whatever reason, a lot of these fall swing events. So I like him to finish 31st or better. I'm putting $15 of my portfolio on it. And yeah, the course is really interesting. I mean, 60-yard wide fairways. I think that's going to, you said they might play a little bit smaller. The greens are massive, no rough. So do you have any lean toward what type of golfer is going to play well here? For me, I just see everything should be in play except around the green. Because if you're missing these greens, it's probably going to be trouble anyway. So I'm kind of just not looking at scrambling.
Yeah, I almost feel like it's easier for DFS this week than it is for betting. And what I mean by that is you can stack in DFS. And so here's my advice for DFS, which we really don't talk about much on this show usually, but I'm going to talk about it here anyway, just because it at least gets you in the right mindset and gets you to where I'm thinking, where I like stacking a lineup of big hitters just in case, hey, 7450, it's a long golf course. If it plays the big hitters, I want them all in the same lineup. I'm also going to stack some good win players. I mean, there's some under the radar. Tyler Duncan, who's been playing some good golf. played really well in windy conditions, try to seek out guys that have played well in the wind in the past. Another low-cost guy who will go under the radar, Brandt Snedeker, who's not playing the best golf of his career right now, but on a fast, firm, wind-blown golf course. I like that. And then you go with the catch-all, just approach shots and who's hitting the ball the best right now. And certainly, there's some guys. I'm going to get into JJ Spawn in a few minutes, whose iron play has been fantastic. Bo Hostler we've talked about already, and I'll get into Bo here because I think he fits that profile of a ball striker. Look, we've seen driver be really good for him. We've seen putter been really good for him. If he gets his iron play going, it fits the model. It fits the profile. I'm not saying he's going to do the same things, but it fits everything that Wyndham Clark has done over the past year, which was he's got the big club, he's got the 14th club, the putter, kind of put everything together in between, and he became a major champion and one of the better players in the world. I don't know that Bo Hostler is necessarily going to reach that level. That's asking a lot, but I do think that he's kind of on the same path. You played him for an outright already, so 27th or better this week in the finishing position market, I think is a slam dunk. He's done that 6 of the last 9 times he's played.
Yeah, love that pick. You might as well go ahead and win and cash both of our bets for us. First place is just fine. For my sell of the week, I'm going Mav McNeely, 51st or worse. So, I mean, if he makes the cut, I'm going to be sweating this one. But we just haven't seen much of him. He's a golfer that I do like. I hope he eventually finds his form, but he hasn't finished in the top 50 of any of his last 6 starts. Hasn't played on tour since June, and I just don't know if his game is where it needs to be. So I'm just erring on the side of caution, taking him 51st or worse.
I actually like your play a little bit more than I like my play, so I may switch it up and just go with yours and tail your Matt McNeely play, because that makes sense. Coming off surgery, like you said, it's been a while since he's teed it up, so I think that makes a lot of sense. I've got Akshay Bhatia here. I love Akshay's game, love the kid. I think he's going to be really good on the PGA Tour for a long time, but right now he feels like a momentum play. When he starts getting hot, he stays hot. When he's not, he's really off the beaten path, and so he's been 31st or worse in 4 of his last 5 starts. I don't see him turning it around necessarily this week. I think his number at 35-1 outright is way too short, and so I'm going to fade him in this marketplace. All right, we get to our props. Where are you going with yours?
I'm going to go Michael Kim, top 20. You can get that at about plus 275 right now, putting $15 on that. He's had an interesting year. He was incredible in the spring, played pretty well at the start of the summer, and then missed 4 straight cuts in July. Since then, 5th at the Wyndham, 18th at the Shriners, 41st at the Zozo. So his game is trending in the right direction. If you look at the stats, he's been very good with his irons in his last couple starts. And again, I think iron play is going to be important. The green should be easy to hit, but you want to hit them on the right tiers and close to the pin if you do want to keep up in this birdie fest. So I kind of like that bet. Pretty good odds too at plus 275.
Can I take a prop play on Michael Kim being a top 5 golfer tweeter? Fantastic on social media, isn't he?
You know what's funny is on our show at Roto Grinders, we talk about there's been an inverse correlation between his number of tweets and his golf game, because he's really been tweeting a bunch towards the end of the summer, and then his golf game kind of went down. So maybe he hasn't tweeted as much lately, focusing more on the golf. But yes, amazing golf tweeter, and yeah, one of my favorite follows for sure.
Strokes gained tweeting needs to be a stat. Oh, by the way, let's not get it. And I know you weren't going there with this, but I love it when people say like, oh, maybe you should stop tweeting so much and worry about your game, as if, yes, all those minutes spent tweeting are taking away from the hours of practice. I mean, come on, guys, let's be real here. So I know you weren't getting at that. I'm going to go with the guy that I mentioned a minute ago, JJ Spawn, for a top 10. In his last 15 starts, he has been either positive or dead neutral strokes gained approach shots. I mean, the guy's hitting the ball, I dare I say, Morikawa-like with his irons, Justin Thomas-like. He's been very, very good with those irons. And quite frankly, doesn't matter the course, doesn't matter the week. If you're hitting your irons that well, you're going to finish up there on the leaderboard. He was 6th just a couple of weeks ago at the Zozo Championship in Japan, and I will take him for a repeat performance this week. Oh, by the way, programming note, he'll be on with me and Michael Collins on Hitting the Green on SiriusXM PGA Tour Radio tomorrow. I just throwing it out there. I'm allowed to shamelessly self-promote other stuff I'm doing, right?
Yeah, of course.
All right, where you going with your matchup? I think I might like yours.
All right, I'm gonna go with Cam Champ over Ben Griffin. I kind of picked on Ben Griffin the last two events that he's played. Look, he's a guy that I like to root for. He's everyone's favorite accountant. But man, really blew up there at the Sanderson on the back nine, lost in the playoff, and then since then he missed the cut at the Shriners and was 64th at the Zozo, where there was, I believe, 78 golfers in the field. So I just think that kind of mentally drained him when he ended up losing the Sanderson down the stretch there. Then you have Cam Champ, who's playing some of the most consistent golf that we've ever seen from him. The course is long, wide fairways. The driver should be a big weapon, and he's one of the best when it comes to the driver. So I think it's a good spot for him. Doing $20 on that at minus 125.
I love it. I love it so much that independent of your pick there, I had the exact same one. I've got almost nothing to add other than it's probably less of a fade of Griffin and more of a play on Champ than I think you had. But I really like Cameron Champ long term. I think over the next 12 months, he is going to become almost like Siwoo Kim-esque, where Siwoo earlier in his career had this really high ceiling and really low floor. Champ has been that way over the last few years, but Siwoo over the past 12 months has turned into this guy that's like playing high level, consistent golf. He's kind of changed around that floor, and maybe the ceiling's not much different, but the floor has gone way up. And so I think that Cam Champ is going to have the similar type of journey as Siwoo Kim over the next year. But in the short term, yeah, I just go beat Ben Griffin. We've got a gimme prop out there. I know what I think of it, Derek. I want to get your thoughts on Cameron Young, top 5 this week. The folks at Bet365 have boosted this one from plus 280 to plus 325. You buying?
Yeah, I'll buy that. I'm obviously on board with your play with the outright. He's a guy that when he's in contention, usually gets off to hot starts. So that's a nice little segue into my first round leader bet. It's going to be Cam Young at plus 3,300. I just think, one of the best ball strikers in the field. I would say his biggest weakness is around the green, and I'm not worrying about that this week. So if the putter shows up, I do think he is going to be live to win. And hopefully, if he does, he can get off to a good start and post that first round leader as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go first round leader with a guy that has the best fan club nickname on the entire PGA Tour, a tribe called Quest. That's right, Quest. It's pronounced Quest, Peter Quest, 60 to 1 this week. Look, after we've had guys like Hostler and Hadley and Lucas Herbert be first round leaders here in the fall, I'm not going as short a number as you are with Cameron Young. I'm going to play a guy further down the board, just throw a dart. I'm only throwing a couple bucks on it here in the portfolio, but Peter Quest, 14 of 36 rounds on the PGA Tour this year, 68 or better. He's had 465 or better. So he's a guy that can go low again. Throw the dart, see what we can get. What and done big for you this week?
All right, I'm going with the guy that I am betting on. That's Steven Yeager. Very consistent, high floor, tends to play well in these weak fields. I don't think I'm going to be using him, in the bigger events once we get into, March and April.
Yeah, a year ago, I might have said, look, I don't want to burn Cameron Young at a place like this where we've got a lot of season left and he's been really good. The fact that he hasn't been quite as good means I might not want to use him in a major or signature event. So I'll use him here. I don't mind it. Certainly one of the best players in the field. And I really do think there's some win equity for a guy that's still hungry for that first win. So recapping our portfolios, Noto's got Hostler and Yeager outrights. He's buying Dietrich, selling McNeely. Prop on Michael Kim, matchup on Champ, and first round leader play on Cam Young. I'm Cam Young for an outright along with Davis Thompson, buying Hostler, selling Bhatia. Prop on Spawn, matchup on Champ, and first round leader on Tribe Called Quest. While watching this episode of the Gimme presented by Bet365. Remember, for more content, you find all my stuff at the Action Network and actionnetwork.com. Find Derek's stuff at Roto Grinders. There's a ton of great stuff over there. Check out their basketball every night. It's fantastic as well. He does a great job on all the hoop stuff. I read it every single day. For Derek Farnsworth, I'm Jason Sobel. Good luck with all your plays for this week's Worldwide Technology Championship. Here's hoping you guys hit the green.